Hi, and welcome to the 2021 Virtual Green Tie Awards from Conservation Voters of South Carolina. I'm John Tynan. I'm Executive Director at CVSC.
And I'm Rebecca Haynes, the Deputy Director at Conservation Voters of South Carolina. It's good to see you tonight.
I know. Here we are again, yet another virtual green tie.
Unfortunately, but at least we can get together in this format.
Well, and we still have the opportunity to honor all the great champions that have been fighting for environmental issues, conservation issues, both in the state legislature and beyond tonight. So
Exactly.
Before we get going, though, Rebecca, I wanted to take a quick moment, one, to thank everybody that tuned in for our networking reception that just ended. Some of y'all are hopefully tuned into our live awards right now. Others may be watching this later on YouTube or other places. So thank you either way for tuning in and for your support of Conservation Voters. But I wanted to specifically call out and thank our sponsors for this evening. We're going to highlight our Emerald sponsors: Google, Arnold Nemero, Oceana Gold Hail Operation, and Southern Current. We also wanted to thank our olive sponsors for the evening: Elliott Close and the Pump House Restaurant in Rock Hill, Greenville Water, Deer Park, Charles River Labs, and Luck Companies.
So, John, it's exciting here to have another Green Tie Awards in front of us. So tell us a little bit about what the Green Tie Awards are all about.
Well, this is our 13th year doing the Green Tie, and it's all about recognizing and honoring conservation success, conservation achievement, conservation leadership. It's highlighting, it's that one night a year that we're able to bring together conservation interests, political interests, and business to show that, this is a team sport. And when we all come together, we can do amazing things to protect the South Carolina we love.
Very true. Now, unfortunately, we lost one of our beloved alums of the Green Tie honoree list. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, unfortunately, last month, Ann Springs Close, we honored her in 2014 with our Lifetime Achievement Award. So 7 years ago, we honored her. And even though she got a Lifetime Award then, she continued fighting for conservation, for environmental issues, and really to make South Carolina a better place. And so, the Ann Springs Close Greenway carries her name, but really her legacy is much more than that. It's the individuals she's inspired, the organizations she supported and helped grow, and really just the conservation legacy, both in protected places and advocates throughout the state that are really going to carry on. So a very tragic and sad loss, and one that, will sorely be missed in South Carolina and in the conservation family.
Yeah, it's going to leave a hole. Well, let's transition over to our Green Tie Award honorees for this year. So let's start with Senate leadership. Yeah,
so before we get into the Senate Award, it's always good to kind of just touch base of what's it like working in the Senate. We hear it's the more deliberative body, but what does that really mean from somebody that's, kind of on the ground every day, working with senators? What's that look like?
Well, the Senate is a smaller body, so you get more time to work one-on-one with senators. You really get to dig into issues, but they are more deliberative. And by that it means they spend more time at the committee level working on issues. So by the time a bill gets to the floor of the Senate to get voted on, they've kind of worked it out, right? They've found consensus on the issue, and so therefore, the votes that we share in our scorecard aren't that exciting. They're often unanimous.
I think the scorecard's exciting.
The scorecard is exciting, but some of our Senate votes are high because by the time a conservation issue gets to the floor of the Senate, we're in agreement, right? So that's why I love the Senate Conservation Leadership Award for the Green Tie, because it is a way for us to really target who in the Senate has gone above and beyond, who has put in that work that may not be illustrated well in the scorecard, right? Who has put in sweat equity, so to speak, into conservation issues. So it tees us up really well for our honoree tonight.
Yeah, our honoree tonight is Senator Sandy Senn, and I think when we were talking about this earlier, what one of the things that came out was she can live in kind of both worlds of the Senate, right? Like she can live in the finding consensus, building a path forward, working in that kind of consensus building mode with her colleagues, but she's also not, she doesn't back down from a fight. If she sees something that's wrong, if she sees something that she's passionate about and needs to stand up, she's not afraid to take on the power structures or kind of stand up to some of her colleagues either. So it's really what makes a green tie champion, being able to kind of deftly maneuver between those two positions in the Senate. So Senator Sandy Senn, congrats on the award. And let's go to the video highlighting you.
Let's see more. This year's Senate Conservation Leadership Award goes to Senator Sandy Senn.
When she was first elected, I really didn't know much about her, but I was very angry about what County Council was doing with 526, which was going to really affect James Island. And her office is right next to a shopping center that I go to. So I walked in one morning and I said, I'd like to talk to Senator Senn. And she said, she's not here now, but I can put you in for 1 o'clock. And I came back at 1 o'clock and we talked for over an hour. I didn't change her mind, but she helped me to understand exactly where she was coming from. And the fact that I found that level of responsiveness in a senator, I mean, no question I was going to get to see her in person and see her right away. And it was the beginning of a dialogue. She's just fundamentally committed to land protection and to being concerned about pollution in traditional senses. She's also very responsive to people telling her about environmental actions that are happening in the community that are bad for the environment. She's been involved in working on cleaning up this creek. She's very committed to the fact that these are very important things for our community and our state.
Senator Senn is very tenacious, and she has taken on a lot of issues that are important to the conservation voters in South Carolina. She's passionate about protecting the quality of life of the people in coastal South Carolina and her district. She's been very passionate about pollution. A great example of a conservation issue that Senator Senn took the lead on, grabbed the bull by the horns, is the NERDL issue, the plastic pollution issue in Charleston Harbor. She was relentless on that and demonstrated great leadership and great concern for the impact it has on the beautiful natural resources of Charleston Harbor.
It's always an adventure working with Senator Sandy Senn. I see few senators bring so much energy and passion to the work they do. She feels strongly about the needs of her constituents in her district. She cares about conservation. She cares about the waterfront. She cares about coastal resources. And quite frankly, I've never seen someone fight against the plastics industry the way Senator Senn does.
I think she's just done such a great job. She didn't go into the legislature on this kind of strong path, but she picked it up and she has run with it and she will keep running with it. And if you look at all the different bills she's been involved in and that she stands up and says what she thinks, and she will fight a losing battle and sometimes win them, but just the fact that they get fought makes you in better shape for the next time around, and she's going to do the work of doing that for us.
The Senate is known for being, thoughtful, reserved, very respectful, and it's often really hard to balance that with also a need to call out your colleagues and hold folks accountable and make sure they are voting the right way for conservation. And I think Senator Senn does a good job of trying to, educate her colleagues, bring them along, and make sure that her voice is heard.
It's great to have her in the delegation and as an ally in the Senate fighting for what's really important for the people of South Carolina's low country.
So Becca, every time we roll out our Green Tie awardees, I always get a couple folks who call, but sometimes lawmakers, sometimes constituents, and they say, why this person? Why this year? People track this award and who we give it out to. So let me ask you that question for Senator Senn this year. Why Senator Senn? Why now? Why this year?
I like to at least give legislators a couple of terms under their belt to kind of kind of show us, right? Like, show us they are consistent, they are there, they're going to be the champ we collectively need them to be, right? And Senator Senn far proved she was ready. I knew she was ready to get the award soon, and then when I saw the way that she fought against the advanced recycling, kind of pyrolysis, melting plastics industry, the way she fought to regulate plastic pellets, also known as nurdles, in the Charleston Harbor. I mean, and then the way that when she was, when her colleagues, when the industry, when lobbyists asked her to take, quote unquote, the easier road, she said, no thanks, I'm sticking by my guns, and I'm actually digging in deeper into the issue and my position. I mean, that's when I knew for sure she definitely deserved the green tie this year. So I am just so excited. This is perfect timing. It's perfect timing to show her as a conservation champ. It's perfect timing to show her off as a low country champ and a senator that listens to her constituents and has a strong conservation ethic.
Yeah. Well, congrats again, Senator Senn. And let's go to hear her acceptance.
Well, first of all, I am so extremely honored to get the Green Tie Award, and I'm going to have to go ahead and be honest with you. I was a little jealous that I didn't get it last year. I was thinking that maybe I would get it last year, and then we had the 2020 election. So I did think, well, what if I don't get reelected and I never get my green tie? But as luck would have it, the people sent me back, and I am so thrilled to get this honor. Conservation is something that we all need to work toward. It is not a partisan issue. It is something that we need to do for our future, for the next generation. And there's only one world for us. So we really do have to all work together. And I can't wait to put this award up on my office wall. It's going to be the proudest one that I have, quite frankly. I even won the State House Challenge one year for all the legislatures, which meant that I ran and did a lot of working out and kind of beat everybody in that regard. So I like that one, but this green tie is really something, and it's going to be very precious to me forever. Thank you for anyone who helped me get this award. I'm grateful.
It's exciting.
I love how she was talking about all the awards on our wall, because I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot more for Senator Senn too. So, but hopefully, like she said, this one's going to take a prominent place.
Well, I mean, not only is it a good-looking award, but it's pretty fantastic.
So let's transition to the House.
Yeah.
You told us a little bit about what it was like working with the Senate. There's 124 members of the House. What's it like over there? How's it different?
I really enjoy working in the House. I mean, you can still build strong relationships, but you are dealing with a lot more legislators, right? Instead of 46 senators, you have 124 House members. It does turn into a bit of numbers game. So you do have to identify who your champions are, who your leaders are, who is respected amongst their peers, who's respected on their committee, amongst their caucus members, who are the people that folks are following, essentially. I mean, you want someone to say, well, not only did I care about this issue, but I knew that if so-and-so was behind it, right, then I'm in a safe position, right? So that's why, the House Conservation Leadership Award is so important, because it is yet another way, like the Senate, for us to show the people that go above and beyond. The people that are really, again, putting in that sweat equity. They are, they're leaders in their chamber. So this year, I am so excited to really honor one legislator who is fairly early in his career.
Right, because we have 2 awards.
Yeah, in the House.
Awards, yeah.
And then another legislator who has put in a decade of committed work for conservation. And so this year we get to honor Representative Marvin Pendarvis and Representative Shannon Erickson, and I could not be more thrilled.
Well, let's go. Let's go first with the junior representative.
Yeah.
Kind of that rising conservation star, as you said. So let's go to Representative Pendarvis's video.
Yeah.
One of this year's Green Tie House Conservation Leadership Award recipients is Representative Marvin Pendarvis.
Marvin Pendarvis is dependable. He has a very good work ethic. He's a quick study, shrewd, and understands how to navigate legislation for people that benefit his constituents. Marvin understands the issue. He appreciates the fact that there's a direct correlation between business and those businesses being a good steward of our natural resources. And Marvin has shown leadership in articulating that issue at the highest levels of state government.
Representative Marvin Pendarvis is being a conservation champion with environmental justice. He carried that mantle in our South Carolina State House with a piece of legislation that we were fighting. And this is a piece of legislation that we have been fighting for many, many years. And he carried that mantle this year when we had to fight a piece of legislation that was dealing with advanced recycling, better known as pyrolysis. And he armed himself with education. He armed himself with partners in the State House with his colleagues. And he carried that arm into the subcommittee hearings, the full committee hearings, and even on the House floor. In fact, he introduced a piece of legislation that would have garnered more public input, would have garnered more community assessment, would have garnered more community impact assessment. And so he took that mantle and he carried it fully in the House floor, and we are forever grateful for Representative Marvin Pendarvis.
He's demonstrated himself to be a leader in sustainable living, renewable energy, and making the community in which he lives and represents aware of the environmental issues that impact them. It's not just about economics, earning a wage at one of these local industries, but it's really about making sure that the community benefits in a way that's not detrimental to their health. What the people really need in these communities are a champion. Marvin has been one of those champions and will not be swayed by the purse or the pocketbook or the wallet of some of these fat cats. He asks the right questions. How does this impact us from a health perspective, and can we grow with this company in order to make the quality of life not only for the citizens who are voting age, but also their children and their grandchildren. And he gets the connection between business and the environment and conservation, which, quite frankly, few people do. And so I applaud him for his efforts, for his genuine commitment to his district, for his articulation of the issues on the environment. And I can't think of anybody more deserving than Marvin Pendarvis.
I believe Representative Marvin Pendarvis deserves this Green Tie Award because he is a leader. He is a conservation leader. And historically, we have gifted this award to legislators who have been serving for many years. But this is a testament of who Representative Marvin Pendarvis is. He hit the ground running. In fact, as a lobbyist, as a team member with Conservation Voters of South Carolina, we very often do not have to go and approach Representative Marvin Pendarvis. He actually comes to us and asks about the issues. He wants to prioritize our issues, and he has not only gone to the mat for us in committee hearings or committee meetings, but he has gone to the mat for us right there on that chamber floor.
I love it. I mean, Deetra hit the nail on the head. Representative Pendarvis is there for conservation, and he doesn't just wait for an issue to land on his feet. He's proactively going after helping us and the work we're all doing. And, you know, in this video, the video before, I mean, both Sandy Senn, Marvin Pendarvis have dealt with what we lovingly refer to as zombie bills, right? The bills that just come back year after year, kind of play whack-a-mole. Like you think you've killed it and it comes back. And we need that dedicated leadership to help us continue to fight against these pieces of legislation.
Well, and what's so great to see, I mean, we've been fighting this piece of legislation for a few years. There's been years where we fought 5, 6, 7 years in a row, and on different pieces of legislation, these zombie bills, and House members come and go, right? And to some extent, seeing someone new like Representative Pendarvis step up and take that mantle, like Deetra said, and kind of charge forward with it, it's not only adding new leadership and new vision and new passion to these fights, but it's kind of, it helps us approach them a different way. It helps us kind of look at how are we approaching this, how are we messaging this, how the solutions that we're proposing working or not working. And so he and people like Representative Pendarvis, they give us new energy when we're fighting these fights too.
Yep.
So it's really great to see that and him pick up that torch, pick up that mantle and carry it forward. So congratulations again, Representative Pendarvis, on this award. Let's cut to your video where your acceptance speech.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, and thank you to the conservation voters of South Carolina for seeing fit to award me the Green Tie Award for 2021. When I ran for the House of Representatives in 2017, I went around my district and I wanted to poll people to find out what was most important to them. Because I found it important to make sure that when I ran, I wanted to make sure the issues that were important to the people were going to be the issues that I was going to be fighting for in Columbia. And so I went around the area, and there were a number of issues that came up, a number of things that were important to people and that they wanted me to fight for. But one of the most important things that came up were issues of preservation, environmental justice, and making sure that we protect our most precious assets and our natural resources here in South Carolina. Because I come from a community that had been challenged with many environmental issues, and I wanted to make sure that I was representing those issues when I got to Columbia. And so I took that with me. Once I was elected, in every committee meeting, in every committee room, on the House floor, in every floor debate, and every piece of legislation that I attached my name to, I wanted to make sure that I was making good on the promise that I made those voters when it comes to fighting for the issues that were important to them. So many issues that are very paramount to the very mission of the conservation voters of South Carolina. And so receiving this award is very important, and it's a testament to the work of the people in my district, the number of organizations that are working on these issues, that are trying to do the work. Organizations like the Low Country Alliance of Model Communities, who are working on mitigation efforts to try to address a lot of the development that's coming into the community and making sure that it does not have a negative impact on the people in that area. And so I've been privileged to be part of these organizations. It's a collaborative effort in making sure that we fight for these issues. And so this award isn't about me. This award is about so much more than just me. You know, I'm proud of it, and I'm certainly thankful to be in this position, but I wouldn't be here today without the people that are around me, the people that support me, the people that make it possible for us to fight for these issues, because they're so critically important to the long-term sustainability of South Carolina. And it's going to be important as we move forward into the years to come to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to protect this planet, to make sure we're doing everything to protect our natural resources, to do everything that we can to protect our communities, and make sure that there's nothing infringing upon the health, welfare, and safety of the people that live in those communities. So as long as I'm in the South Carolina House of Representatives, I will continue to remember the people that elected me, the people who wanted me to work on these issues, environmental issues, conservation issues, preservation issues, the issues that are so important and paramount to the mission of the conservation voters of South Carolina. And I want to thank the conservation voters of South Carolina for their faith and belief in me. And I look forward to a continued partnership as we work toward addressing these issues in 2022 and beyond.
So we saw, Representative Pendarvis, we saw his passion, we saw his energy come through, but we also saw Meredith McNeely come on set with us.
Yeah.
So welcome
We got
to
another
Green
person.
Tie. I know.
Hi,
Welcome.
hi.
Hey.
Welcome, Mac, to Green Tie 2021.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Meredith is our Development Operations Director with Conservation Voters, and she's responsible for all the magic that you see here tonight, plus all the people behind the cameras. Thank you all. But thank you for pulling all this together and ushering us through yet another virtual Green Tie, Meredith.
It never comes without its challenges, and I appreciate y'all being with us today. I get, as the development director at CVSC, the incredible joy of often communicating the great things that are happening in conservation in South Carolina. And I love to tell you things that we should celebrate. We've had some challenges this year. We fought back against the plastic industry, but tonight is about celebration, and that's what I want to hear about tonight. So, guys, what should we be celebrating? What has been happening in conservation this year?
Yeah, let's talk about some of the good legislative
good
moments of
tonight.
2021. So, one of my favorite was kind of more complicated and technical, but I really loved what we did to reform the state-owned utility, Santee Cooper. So, Santee Cooper, reform was overdue, and so our staff, our friends, partners, lovely individuals within the conservation community were able to help us not only find a pathway to close the coal plants, but to also make sure we're taking care of the communities affected by those coal plant closures. We're able to chart a pathway for carbon emission reduction. We were able to establish some guardrails and oversight to energy generation planning, kind of add in some Public Service Commission oversight into that process. I'm really excited. I mean, now it's like the start of all the work. We're going to continue making sure it gets implemented, but our team was pretty stoked for a technical, complicated, yet really awesome clean energy win. And I mean, we also saw good things at the Public Service Commission, right?
Right. So the Public Service Commission, 7-member panel that oversees billions of dollars worth of kind of energy decision-making in the state. And for the last couple years, our legislative efforts have been really pushing more decision-making to the Public Service Commission, because it's a place to have really robust discussion and expert witnesses and, all kind of the legal stuff that, we really can't get into in the legislature. Well, part of what CVSC's role in that has been is to help demystify. What does all that mean? Make sure that the decisions of the PSC stay top of mind for lawmakers, stay top of mind for businesses, for grassroots, for grass tops, and really help folks engage in that space. And related, and a result of all of that, we saw a couple big decisions come down this year. One, we saw the PSC reject multiple long-term generation plans from the utilities that were overly reliant on coal. And they basically said, go back to the drawing board and give us some clean energy scenarios that really chart us into clean energy future in South Carolina. And then the other was, we passed the Clean Energy Act, or Energy Freedom Act in 2019, that was supposed to help rooftop solar grow. And meanwhile, we had a utility that introduced a kind of industry-killing rooftop solar proposal, and the PSC sent them packing too. They said, nope, this is going to kill the industry, go back, redo it. And so we're seeing these victories both in the legislative space in clean energy, but also in kind of the oversight and regulatory space, which combined are really charting a really positive path forward for clean energy in South Carolina. But it's not all just clean energy either.
Right. We also had some progress in land protection.
Land protection, green space. We're seeing that momentum continue to grow for land protection in South Carolina. There's a bill that was introduced that originally only applied to 7 coastal counties. And it was going to allow those counties to basically let the voters have a vote on whether or not to have a sales tax for land protection. Well, when that was being debated in the Senate, senators said, whoa, hold on. We want this everywhere. We don't want this tool to be just available for the coast. We want this tool to be available. And so they actually amended it. They sent it over to the House. And this is something that we're going to get to work on again next year. But it just shows you how much the foundation that we've laid for land protection, for clean energy, how much momentum we're really building in both of these places. And we did it all despite COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I really, I'll be honest, I was kind of Not sure what 2021 would bring. I had low expectations. I wasn't sure that conservation was going to be top of mind for legislators, and to have them not only say, actually, yes, we'd like to push back on industry that wants too little oversight. We're going to also say, yes, we definitely want to protect more land in South Carolina. Like, having them take the positions they took this year, initiate the reforms they initiated, do all of that despite the obstacles in front of us really shows the commitment and really the bipartisan conservation group of champions we have in South Carolina, which is really something to be proud of.
Well, and we have all these groups that, CVSC is one of many groups advocating for environmental and conservation issues in the legislature. We have all these partners that do that, but underpinning all of our work, I mean, Representative Pendarvis said this in his video. He said, it's not just us in the lobby, it's the constituents, it's the voters, it's you all watching at home tonight. It's those folks that are really elevating, making conservation top of mind, and really what allow us to do what we do and make the lawmakers pay attention.
Every single one of the legislators we're going to hear from tonight has said that they do this work because their constituents want it.
And that's what I think is so special about CVSC. I remember us talking about this in my very first interview, or in interview 1 in 2018. We talk about it every week at our staff meeting. We talk about when we're talking about how are we going to pass a bill. We need voter engagement. CVSC was started by South Carolinians. It is supported by South Carolinians. And the support of South Carolinians keeps our organization going and allows us to have this momentum and do this incredible work. So as you know, CVSC Green Tie is one of our biggest fundraisers of the year. If you're watching us right now on Swell, there's a button in the middle of your screen that asks you to make a gift. So I would encourage you, ask you, please make a gift to CVSC tonight so we can continue this incredible work, so we can move forward with land protection, we can move forward with clean energy, and we can make a prosperous, healthy, and preserved South Carolina. And I'm just so thankful for all of you and the support you've already given us and the work that we can do together.
And if people do click on that, they get to stay and listen and,
yes,
and see everything.
Yes, it does not
as
take you
it's
away
going.
from this incredible show that we're putting on.
So, and let's stick with the show. Let's keep going forward. We talked about just now about constituents, about kind of the marriage of, constituents, letting lawmakers know, businesses getting engaged in this conversation. And I think that's a perfect segue to our next award winner.
To Representative Shannon Erickson.
To Representative
Yes.
Shannon Erickson.
I was so excited when we were able to tell her she got the award this year, right? Because Representative Erickson is such a great, she's been an advisor to CVSC. She's been a mentor to me. Like she has spent a decade at the State House just doing good, solid work for her district and for conservation. So let's hear from more than just me about why Representative Erickson
gush for probably
is pretty
about an
awesome.
hour, so
All right, let's take
go
you to
to
the video. One of our 2 Green Tie Award winners for House Conservation Leadership goes to Representative Shannon Erickson.
There's not many people who don't know Shannon Erickson. She is about the people, of the people. She understands that the power and the opportunity of elective service comes from the people, not from up top, and she's very attuned and around the community. So I've known her that way. We were the first city to pass a resolution opposed to offshore drilling. And then we went up and down the coast, really from Fernandina Beach all the way to Delaware. And Shannon picked up on that very quickly and was supportive and really turning around a legislature that was very much against us and a Congress. She is a woman of strong words. She swam against the original will of the legislature. And I think she, with the help of others, were able to turn around, protect our rights, to send a strong message, first to the Obama administration and then to the Trump administration, that offshore drilling was not going to happen off the coast of South Carolina.
She's a passionate, energetic, sunny side up kind of person. And so you really got to see the ups and downs as we went through that campaign, and I don't think she ever had a down. Representative Erickson is able to translate the information that she gets. She's able to study it carefully and then translate it into a bigger vision. And so she's able to coalesce the different issues and the takes coming into an issue and sort of try to amalgamate them into a total vision. She looks at not only the particular environmental issue, which concerns CVSC, but also the economics, the local community, how it impacts the jobs and working community. She's just able to look at all of those factors, so it brings a broader perspective on any single issue.
Representative Erickson holds you to task. I have never enjoyed so much building a relationship with the legislator, because not only is she smart and shrewd and strategic, but she is always there to give advice, to mentor, to help troubleshoot. Like, how can we figure out the best path for conservation? How can we meet our goals? Like, how can we get from point A to point B? What's impressive about her leadership is it's consistent and it matches with her district. She comes from one of the most conservation-friendly corners of our state, and it shows. She gets it. She knows that her constituents are going to hold her accountable for her conservation votes, and she wants to make sure that we find bipartisan solutions to the conservation problems in front of us.
And that's our function, is to bring people together, particularly in this divided world we're living in today. Bring people together, build consensus, work as a team, pat each other on the back, forget our differences to get the job done. And I think that speaks well to Shannon.
Shannon Erickson is the kind of person who walks the talk, and her convictions of being pro-business and pro-environment really merge beautifully to show how you can have a happy marriage when you take in the economics and the ecology and make it our world, our county, better for everybody.
Representative Erickson has been a consistent supporter of conservation issues since she was elected to the legislature. I enjoyed going back and looking at her work in her first term to her current term at the legislature. She has always been there for us. She is so respected by her colleagues in the House of Representatives, and that's something we should highlight and honor.
So Becca, you said it both before we went to the video, the package, as I'm learning what we're calling the videos now, but you said it before we went to the video, and you said it in the video of, you know, she's good about giving advice, giving counsel, giving strategy. And I can't tell you the number of phone calls I've been on with Representative Erickson where she says, well, here's what I need to know in order to be able to sell this to my colleagues. And here's how you should, approach this issue. And that's one of the things that she's great at, of kind of taking that step back and not just saying, here's what I need and here's what I'm hearing from my voters, but here's what I know about how you can build a bigger tent, build a bigger kind of bipartisan effort around this issue. And I mean, that's one of the most valuable things that we can have in a conservation champ, a conservation leader.
Right, and she'll lean into what kind of role she needs to play for what kind of issue. Sometimes she'll show the General Assembly a PowerPoint about the oyster harvesting industry in her district, right, and talk about the connection to microplastics. Or sometimes she'll work behind the scenes, right, and work to work the floor of the House in support of our position. So I mean, being able to strategize with her is absolutely lovely, and I mean, she is just a classic conservation champ. She gets it. She knows that conservation is good policy, it's good business, and it's good politics. And so she's able to really lean into that and not only know that she is doing the right thing for her district, for her voters, and for conservation and her grandkids. So it's lovely to see her work, and I'm glad we can finally honor her with the green tie. This is going to look great on her office wall.
Yeah, and it's a combo of all those things that
Yeah.
really what make a conservation champ, a conservation leader. So congratulations again, Representative Erickson. Let's go to your acceptance speech.
Yep.
It's an honor to be here today to say thank you for the Green Tie Award. Serving House District 124 in Beaufort County, I am especially aware of the land and the water and the air quality that is necessary for a really good environment for growth of people and places. And working with the conservation voters of South Carolina is probably one of my biggest honors. When I was elected several years ago, one of my goals was to find a balance between business and our environment. And every day I work to make sure that that balance is in all the work that I do. I always ask, and Rebecca and John will tell you, how is this going to impact everybody concerned? And to receive this award says to me that I'm doing the right thing. I'm asking the right questions, and I'm working with the people that I promised I would work with to make our lives better all the way across the board. So I want to thank the Conservation Voters members and their board, their staff. I've got to call out two board members, Susan Hilfer, who's the vice chair, who lives in Beaufort and is a neighbor, and former Representative Paul Agnew, who I served with in the House of Representatives. All the volunteers who make this organization great are the backbone of what we look for in their research, their advocacy, and all of the legislation that comes from their work, but also the education pieces that they provide. As a teacher, I want everybody to understand the reasons why, not just the policy. So thank you to all of the folks, the conservation voters, everyone who brings something to the table to make our world better. It's from my heart and from my community that I say thank you, and I appreciate the award greatly.
She was right. She's doing the right thing, and she's asking the right questions. And really, for all three of the legislators we got to honor today, I promise I did not plan it this way. But once, Deetra and I made our recommendations to the board about not only who was deserving, but who had just had a great year of conservation leadership, we realized that all three of the legislators we were honoring were low country legislators, and they had all taken a stand against the plastic industry. Now, they had all done it in their own way, their own flavor, their own style of leadership, their own analysis, but all three of them had said, hold up, we love where we live. Our constituents want to make sure we protect it. And that's what's important here.
Well, I mean, and that's what makes Green Tie champions, right? Like it's finding the issues that you're passionate about, figuring out ways to dig in, making it your own, and really leading on it. I mean, and we saw some fighting back against plastic and plastic waste management. We also saw some folks fighting for kind of more proactive policies on that side. So it kind of you can balance these things out, but ultimately it's the folks that dig in and really put their heart and soul behind the work, and that's what we saw with all three of these legislators.
So congrats again to our legislative
honorees. Yep.
Now, legislators aren't the only piece of the pie.
Right. So every year we give a award, the Harriet Kaiserling Award for Conservation Advocacy. It's a Green Tie Award that we give every year to an individual who educated or advocated and whose work led to meaningful improvements and meaningful change for the environment, whether it's clean air and water, whether it's energy issues, fish and wildlife, farms, forests, open space, all the things that we love here in South Carolina.
Now, Harriet Kaiserling, she was representative. She served 8 terms.
Yes.
And so, I mean, she was known for her conservation leadership, and that's why it's just so fun to honor Kelly tonight.
Well, and what I love about Representative Kaiserling, former Representative Kaiserling, is that, there was a saying that she had that she was fighting against the special interest for the public interest. And I think that that embodies kind of everything that there is about the Conservation Advocacy Award. So let's go to the
Let's learn more about
Kelly and her work.
Thorvalson from the South Carolina Aquarium. Let's watch her video. The Harriet Kaiserling Green Tie Award for Conservation Advocacy goes to Kelly Thorvalson.
I first met Kelly a few years back, probably 2018 or so, and it was when we had really become aware of the plastic pollution problem in Charleston's waterways, and so we were doing a lot of cleanups, and everything that we were pulling out of the water was plastic. And she was just a willing partner from day one, and it was just really neat to see her as an advocate for what they were finding, for the plastic that they were finding in the turtles that they were taking care of at the hospital, and to bring that whole element into that discussion around policy solutions for plastic pollution in our waterways. In her role at the aquarium, she was mostly focused on education and awareness and all that work around the sea turtle hospital. But when we started working the plastic issue, and she came, the plastic pollution issue, she came into that, from that lens. And so as we started working with local city councils and town councils and state legislators on the plastic pollution issue, it was really awesome to see her kind of evolve and transition into an advocate.
Recently, I have worked with her when we had the ban on bans. It was a plastic bag ban that I was certainly in favor of allowing local governments to ban plastic bags. And there was really some false propaganda being put out there by the plastics manufacturers as to why we should not be able to do that. So we had a good fight on our hands, and she came to the rescue and came in with some facts and stats. And I think that ultimately really helped us stop what could have been some bad legislation. She was able to have a voice that wasn't the plastic industry.
I was so impressed the first time I met Kelly. I mainly work with legislators. I don't have a lot of opportunity to come into contact with education and outreach specialists at the South Carolina Aquarium. She reached out to be able to share an update on the ban on bans plastic bag ordinance debacle at the legislature as she presented to organizations, citizens, and partners in the Columbia area about her citizen science project. I had no idea this was something that was going on, and I was so impressed that she had expanded beyond just the scope of the Charleston area. She had expanded this citizen science project to track the amount of litter and plastic pollution in South Carolina, for us to use that data in things like the plastic fights at the legislature. She expanded this network across the state.
Kelly's just one of those people who makes it happen. It's little acts, it's big things and small things. It's, driving to Columbia to talk to legislators. It's driving to other communities that aren't necessarily here locally where the aquarium's based. It's doing that extra little thing to reach people where they are, to talk to them about these issues that I think makes her so deserving of an award like this.
Her entire career has been spent not only dealing with the turtles and the aquarium and educating kids, and then to turn her focus on this other idea of keeping the pollution out of the waterways, I think was just a natural extension. So she has so many years and vast experience, and they say the squeaky wheel gets the grease, but sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the award.
The nominations that came in for Kelly were so thorough. They were so detailed. They came from so many people. She has touched the lives of so many South Carolinians, not just in the Low Country, but across the state. And when you have an advocate with that kind of passion and dedication and drive, you have to honor it. That is the pure example of a Green Tie Award winner. It could not better embody the legacy of Harriet Kaiserling.
So I'm pretty sure I'm going to borrow what Senator Senn said of the squeaky wheel gets the award.
Yeah.
At some point in the future. It's going to come up again. But I think that's a great saying. It fits kind of the award for Kelly so well. And what I find really amazing about this is I grew up in Chattanooga. I went to aquariums. There's a big aquarium there. We've taken my kids to the aquarium here in South Carolina. you don't always think about aquariums kind of being a place where there's outward facing advocacy. I mean, it's just, you think the staff stay in the walls of the aquarium or zoos or where, all of these places.
Yeah, but they're really on the front lines, right? I mean, zoos and aquariums are interacting with so many members of the public every day. And so, it's not uncommon to see them do great educational programming, right, with the people who are visiting their aquarium or their zoo, right? I mean, that's not totally unusual. And more have been talking about plastic pollution, the impacts it's having on the animals they're taking care of. But Kelly I don't know that we have a lot of Kellys out there, right? Like she took it a step farther. I mean, even when I called her to tell her she got the award, she was like, okay, well, that's cool. But like, I'm on the way to another town in South Carolina to do another presentation on this.
Well, and that's what's so great about honoring her with this award. I mean, she saw a problem from her work at the aquarium. She identified the solution, but then she didn't just put it out there. She actively took that solution. She took it to communities on the coast. She took it to the legislature in Columbia. She took it to the upstate. I mean, and she's kind of started this movement and started this, this whole press for getting better about how we manage our plastic waste and, where it ends up and why it's important, both for us as people, but for the wildlife that we depend on.
It's very, very cool. And I mean, and really like there's just such a strong cohort of folks behind her and with her, and working alongside kind of everyone in this space, especially in the Lowcountry. So, congrats, Kelly.
Well, let's go to Kelly's. Let's go to Kelly's acceptance speech and hear what she has to say.
Yeah.
It is my honor and privilege to accept the Green Tie Award from Conservation Voters of South Carolina, an organization I hold in the greatest regard. So CVSC staff and sponsors of the Green Tie Awards, thank you so very much. I am grateful to the South Carolina Aquarium, an organization with a tremendous heart, for allowing me growth opportunities over the last 20 years and to be part of the development of these important conservation initiatives. I absolutely love working to protect marine life and in the last 6 years to protect people from these great threats. And I've had the opportunity to work with so many incredible people literally around the globe. The challenges that we face in this work, and anybody who's doing this work knows there are plenty of those, really make the successes far more meaningful. Some of those fantastic people that I've worked with are my nominators, and I'd like to just recognize these amazing folks. Linda Rowe, Dory Ingram, Kate Bird, and Joyce Harrison. Thank you. You all are amazing, and I'm just blessed to have you in my lives, in my life, working alongside me and the South Carolina Aquarium. These women are smart and caring and dedicated, and not only volunteer to help the aquarium extend our reach into these communities, but they are working in so many other ways to make their communities better, and the planet really is a better place with them in it. So thank you ladies. I have to thank my mentor and my colleague, Albert George, for 6 amazing years of working together, for incredible sound advice and encouragement, for your trust in allowing me the space to build the program around plastic pollution that I'm mostly working in, and the humor. Thank you for that. That goes a long way in this work. And then finally, I just want to express my most sincere gratitude to my co-workers at the South Carolina Aquarium, to my entire incredible volunteer team, to my family who has dealt with my workaholic nature for many, many years, and ultimately to so many incredible conservation partners and community members across this entire great state. I share this award with you all.
It's such a fitting kind of sentiment when she shares that award with all the partners, all the constituents, all the all the groups that she's worked with. I mean, it really embodies kind of how she approaches this work. I think it's a real fitting.
Well, and for Kelly, for all the honorees, and for CVSC, right? We don't do this work in a vacuum. right? It takes the entire conservation community in South Carolina. It takes all the voters, all the members, all the donors, all of it, right, to make it work really well. So congrats to Kelly. You're so deserving. This is so lovely to see. And so many congrats to our legislative champs. We couldn't do this work without you.
Yeah. Congrats again to all the awardees. I do want to hop in. We have a few more thank yous, a few more things to share, but do want to point out, I know a number of you all were joining us on the Swell platform. At the very beginning of the show, we had an issue with that streaming service, and we unfortunately lost some of Sandy Senn's video. So she's going to get a bit of a double dip tonight. So when we go out, we're actually going to replay the award video for Senator Senn so that y'all can see it in its entirety, and we make sure that we adequately and appropriately honor Representative Senn and all she's done. And you can also, if you want to share this, it'll be up and it'll be up and recorded on YouTube. You can also share this in its entirety later. And again, if you do that, she'll get Senator Senn will get a double dip of her video package showing. So. Yeah. But before we go, I want to make sure that we do thank our major sponsors yet again. So we have Oceana Gold, Hail Operation. We have Google, Arnold Nimero, Southern Current, Charles River Labs, Deer Park, Greenville Water, Luck Companies, and Elliott Close and the Pump House Restaurant in Rock Hill.
Conservation community, our partners in the Conservation Coalition, advocates, voters, we could not do this without you. So thank you again, and congratulations to our honorees.
So Green Tide 2021, it's in the books. Yeah. Yet another virtual event, and hopefully we'll see you all back in person next year. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget the re-roll of the Senator Senn Award video is coming up next.
This year's Senate Conservation Leadership Award goes to Senator Sandy Senn.
When she was first elected, I really didn't know much about her, but I was very angry about what County Council was doing with 526, which was going to really affect James Island. And her office is right next to a shopping center that I go to. So I walked in one morning and I said, I'd like to talk to Senator Senn. And she said, she's not here now, but I can put you in for 1 o'clock. And I came back at 1 o'clock and we talked for over an hour. I didn't change her mind, but she helped me to understand exactly where she was coming from. And the fact that I found that level of responsiveness in a senator, I mean, no question I was going to get to see her in person and see her right away. And it was the beginning of a dialogue. She's just fundamentally committed to land protection and to being concerned about pollution in traditional senses. She's also very responsive to people telling her about environmental actions that are happening in the community that are bad for the environment. She's been involved in working on cleaning up this creek. She's very committed to the fact that these are very important things for our community and our state.
Senator Senn is very tenacious, and she has taken on a lot of issues that are important to the conservation voters in South Carolina. She's passionate about protecting the quality of life of the people in coastal South Carolina and her district. She's been very passionate about pollution. A great example of a conservation issue that Senator Senn took the lead on, grabbed the bull by the horns, is the nurdle issue, the plastic pollution issue in Charleston Harbor. She was relentless on that and demonstrated great leadership and great concern for the impact it has on the beautiful natural resources of Charleston Harbor.
It's always an adventure working with Senator Sandy Senn. I see few senators bring so much energy and passion to the work they do. She feels strongly about the needs of her constituents in her district. She cares about conservation. She cares about the waterfront. She cares about coastal resources. And quite frankly, I've never seen someone fight against the plastics industry the way Senator Senn does.
I think she's just done such a great job. She didn't go into the legislature on this kind of strong path, but she picked it up and she has run with it, and she will keep running with it. And if you look at all the different bills she's been involved in, and she stands up and says what she thinks, and she will fight a losing battle and sometimes win them. But just the fact that they get fought makes you in better shape for the next time around. And she's going to do the work of doing that for us.
The Senate is known for being, thoughtful, reserved, very respectful, and it's often really hard to balance that with also a need to call out your colleagues and hold folks accountable and make sure they are voting the right way for conservation. And I think Senator Senn does a good job of trying to, educate her colleagues, bring them along, and make sure that her voice is heard.
It's great to have her in the delegation and as an ally in the Senate fighting for what's really important for the people of South Carolina's Low Country.